welcome back to Business in a New Normal. This is Joseph Rosales, and thank you for joining us again today, where we share balanced information in a way that helps businesses not just survive, but thrive in this ever-changing economy and society that we find ourselves in. And I'm joined today by my co-host, Ike Devji. Ike, how are you today, bud?
Good. Thank you, Joseph. Good to be with you again.
Good. And our guest today is Thomas Barr from local First Arizona, and we're going to get with him in just a minute. How you doing today, Tom?
I'm great. So happy to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. As always, we like to start off with just a little bit of commentary about what's going on in our clients' worlds. Ike is a business attorney, specializes in asset protection, and has clients all over the country. And, we see a lot of really interesting evolvements over the past 12 months since COVID hit and business changed and regulations are changing, and we have a new president now and a lot of changes, a lot of things happening. So Ike, what's going on in your world, my friend?
All kinds of things. I think it's a mixed bag, much like the topics on our show here and the guests that we discuss things with. We have some folks that are struggling because of the issues that we've covered, where we have some folks, for instance, in retail and in the restaurant business in particular, who are struggling because of the effects of COVID, because of the effects of a lack of consumer confidence, people not feeling safe to come back because of government restrictions in certain areas. And, these folks are trying to balance the public health interest with their own solvency. We have other folks that are doing very well who have pivoted their businesses. One of them actually changed their business at the beginning of the pandemic and has done so well that we're now guiding them through an exit strategy.
Wow.
Where they're selling the business that almost died, was reformed and retooled to meet current needs. And now they're exiting that business in a very successful way. We have folks who are inquiring about the new wave of PPP. And of course, folks are working their way through all of the issues connected to vaccination, including legal issues around vaccination, both folks in the healthcare community and our business owners who are worried about how do they get it? How do they get employees vaccinated? Can they mandate it? So a whole mixed bag of things. As I said, just all the things that we've talked about in real life.
Yeah, it's interesting because and I want to encourage our listeners to go back to our YouTube channel where all of our segments are stored. And we have everyone from attorneys in certain specialties to people that talked about sanitization and hygiene, to accountants, to business coaches, to
IT security folks.
IT security,
talk about remote workforces and the legalities around that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And so go to YouTube, The Leader of You.
Start to become an even more effective leader immediately. Get your copy of The Leader of You at theleaderofyou.com.
And you might have to put my name behind it, Joseph Rosales, just to get to it, because as it gets more traction, it becomes its own spot. But so yeah, we're excited about it. And in my world, we see everything as an opportunity. And there are opportunities for people to excel and to change sometimes small things and sometimes big things about their business that will cause people to be more confident to do a business with them. We had a whole segment, and actually it was 2 or 3 months worth of segments, where we really focused on consumer confidence and how do you get customers and consumers to become more confident in your business again. And we've talked a lot about, if you don't do that and you just let the natural occurrences happen, some people will just never come back because you didn't take care of me then. Why are you going to take care of me now? So there's so many things. And we were just inspecting an investment property this afternoon before we jumped on this call down in Phoenix that we just bought. And, everybody was wearing their mask and being respectful, and that's all you can expect. And when you do that, you show people respect. Now, if nobody has masks on, it's a different story. You can kind of roll with that as you roll with that. But I think there's some new social norms that are coming out of this, which are so interesting. And we're going to have a guest on about that too. So without any further ado, I don't want to take any more time from our guest because he's got some amazing things to talk about. And I have been with Thomas before, and it was a great time in sharing information about what I do and what he does. And so Thomas Barr is our guest. He's the executive director at Local First Arizona, the largest coalition of local businesses in North America. He advocates for a strong local business community that contributes to building vibrancy, equality, and prosperity across the state. A proud Arizona native, which is not that many of you. The proud part, yes, the native, no. And a graduate of ASU, Arizona State University, where my son is still attending. Thomas leads the business coalition of Local First Arizona by advocating for the economic and cultural benefits provided by building local, strong economies. So Thomas, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Really looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, and that's really what it is, just a conversation with us and you, and people kind of poke their heads in and listen, and we can help share some. Again, we talk about balance on this program all the time, not the left, not the right, kind of figuring out where you fit in this whole equation, because there are people on the left and on the right, and there's extremes in everything. And I know that we're trying to find that balance point for everybody. And so I guess I'd like to start off with asking you, so who is Local First Arizona, and what do you guys do?
Sure. So again, thank you for the opportunity. Local First Arizona is an organization that was founded in 2003. So we've been around for about 18 years. And like you'd mentioned, we're a business coalition of Arizona-based companies. So when our founder launched Local First Arizona, it was really started to bring together all of the family-owned, independent, locally owned businesses into one network so that they could all collaborate together and people could find them. So over the years, we continue to grow and really spread the message about how important it is that we spend our dollars as much as we possibly can with the small businesses and locally owned businesses that make up our state. And along the way, we also developed programs to help different communities access the tools and resources they need to be a part of that local economy. And so we have a network of 3,000 businesses that we work with across Arizona. We provide a voice for, but also resources for them. And then an online directory that people can find and search local businesses. But we also have a wide variety of programming that helps really build a more inclusive and sustainable Arizona economy and invites more communities into that space. We have tools such as educational tools that small businesses can learn about. And then we also have awareness efforts, helping educate the community and educate the public about how actually easy it is to support local businesses, whether that's going to a local auto shop or getting a local coffee. And then we kind of take people on a journey from there, thinking about how the economy really does work and how if we all made shifts in how we spent our money, it would have a huge impact on Arizona's economy. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I'm sorry. It's really interesting because with the Amazon of the world, the one Amazon, it's so easy to press a button and get what you want versus making maybe a little bit more effort, but so is supporting a local business. That's so important.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what we tend to not think about is the multifaceted impact that occurs when we choose to simply spend our money with one company versus diversifying that money amongst entrepreneurs and people that are actually in our hometown, right? When there was a study done several years ago by the Institute of Local Self-Reliance, and they looked at how many jobs were actually supported in the United States when $10 million was put into Amazon and when $10 million was put into independent businesses. and you put that 10 million into independent businesses, it creates 114 jobs, or I'm sorry, 110 jobs. You put that 10 million into Amazon, it only creates 14 jobs. So there's a huge difference and a huge gap in just spending money and then what happens to that money once it's spent, right? And that's not something we typically think about as consumers, but we do a lot of education behind thinking through, when you take your, let's say, $5 to buy a coffee and you go to a local coffee shop rather than, let's say, a Starbucks, that local coffee shop is going to hire a local web developer, a local graphic designer. They're going to hire a local payroll service provider, print shop, accountant. I mean, you could think of 15 other jobs that are supported by a small business opening up, right? But you spend it with that national company that's not headquartered here, and it's going to corporate, right? It's being taken from our state and our community and going somewhere else. So I think it's really important that we not think of things in silos, but think of them as collective. Every time you spend your money, you have a choice, and you can choose to spend it in meaningful ways or not.
Interesting.
Thomas, who qualifies to join that group of business owners that you mentioned?
Sure. Yeah. So our board of directors has upheld our membership requirements for many years. To be a qualified local business or member of Local First, you have to be headquartered in Arizona. The majority of your work would need to be placed in Arizona. So if you have another location somewhere else, we just want to make sure that most of your work is concentrated here. You can't be directly affiliated with a non-local or a national brand. So we don't work with most franchises just because we're trying to focus on providing support to those that don't have those extra resources, right? And the owner has to live in Arizona. So we also require that the owner is within the state.
Great. And those are all, I think for a local business organization, those are all completely legitimate and reasonable qualifications. So I'm glad that you have left the door open to so many. You mentioned a whole bunch of the services and benefits that membership provides, some of the support that the organization provides. Can you tell us some more about that? Because you listed a whole bunch of stuff quickly that I didn't hear everything, and I'm sure our listeners didn't either.
Sure.
Can you tell me, if I sign up as a member, some of the benefits that I will get and how it will help my business?
Yeah, so we created an online directory. It gets searched about 70,000 times a month from people all over the state looking for local businesses. And all of our members get listed in that directory. Not only do you have the opportunity to get found there, but it also helps boost your search engine optimization on Google, because we have all these keywords and things working on our end to help people find you more. So you get that right off the bat. We also have a whole resource center, digital resource center of education and information that you can access, from business articles to blogs and videos, all focused on local businesses and things you need to know, from customer service to technology to marketing. Over the last year, we provided a lot of content for how to, apply for a PPP loan or make sure that your emergency disaster loan would be forgiven. So we're always thinking of what is the content that's out there that local businesses need to consume and know about and learn about. And then we're always providing different opportunities for the many different types of businesses out there. So we host an annual conference called the Arizona Good Business Summit every year. This year's going to be virtual. It'll be in April. And that's a great opportunity to connect with other like-minded business owners, consume some really quality content on what it is to be a leader in the community as a business owner. And then we also activate the community through campaigns throughout the year to get people excited about shopping local. So over the summer, we have a campaign called Independence Week, where we incentivize and provide a bunch of prizes and a bunch of fun things for families to get involved and start supporting more businesses. So all of these things that we do is accessible to our membership, and we try to find the right things and the right ways to plug people in.
That's great. It sounds like a resource that a lot of business owners, including myself, should be tapping into.
Yeah, we found a lot of people have a lot of success in just, tapping in and getting connected.
Now, let me ask you a parallel question to that. And I know Joseph has some more questions for you as well. What if somebody who's listening has knowledge or a skill set to share, and they would like to contribute to that community? We've talked about using Local First as a resource. How do we go about giving back and becoming part of that community and contributing time or content or expertise to help others?
Yeah, great question. And that's actually I would say one of the best ways to tap in if you're a content expert or would like to help others, or helping others as a way that you build your business. So we are working with businesses all throughout the state at all times that have a wide variety of needs that we're always running into, whether that's shifting to digital e-commerce, or maybe tapping into a new market, or hiring younger people and needing coaching and advice on how to do that, right? And Local First isn't always the experts to share on what to do. We actually look to our members, we look to our partners, we look to businesses in the community on what information they have, what advice they have to help coach these businesses through the navigating all these changes that are always coming. And so as a member, you actually have the ability to contribute to our member portal, to contribute articles or to contribute information that you think that would be great to know about. And then once we get to know you, once we learn a little bit more about what you do and what you specialize in, we refer lots of businesses to our other members in Local First, whether that's website design or consulting or printing services, or catering for corporations that are looking to cater from local businesses. I mean, the number of calls and emails and inquiries we get is just nonstop. So it's just a really great place to be for sharing what you do and connecting regardless what industry you're in.
Well, that's great. And I would love to get involved in that and see if I can be of help personally. I'm sure Joseph would as well. So we'll follow up with that with you personally when we're offline.
Fantastic.
Well, and as the title of this podcast is Business in the New Normal, we, as I said in the opening, we are in a new normal, and for some more than others. And, some people want to see it differently, but in the end, it's challenging for many people out there and many businesses. What is your response to the pandemic been, and how are you supporting small businesses in that particular conversation?
Yeah, so as you can imagine, over the last year, it's just been a really difficult time for a lot of businesses, but also it's been rewarding to see all of the adaptations and changes and, dare I say, pivots that everyone has made over the pandemic. So we did many things at Local First Arizona. We were really rushed into a leadership position throughout the state to provide resources immediately. We actually moved our team to work from home about 10 days earlier than the at-home closures in Arizona, because we knew that should, what we saw happening in Seattle and the other cities come to Arizona, we were going to need to be prepared. And so we moved to work from home, and then we started activating our membership. We started having letters sent from businesses in every county of the state to the governor's office to advocate for federal funding to be released through the Emergency Injury Disaster Loan Program. It has to actually be formally requested from the governor's office to be released. And so in order to get ahead and make sure that, once the closures came, we actually proactively were getting ready for those funds to be released. It doesn't just happen. A lot of people don't know that. And so we were able to have those funds released in mid-March so that businesses could start applying. And then from there, the state actually asked Local First Arizona for recommendations on what they should be doing to help small businesses through the pandemic. So we made a wide variety of recommendations that we think helped a lot. We helped restaurants sell alcohol to go. We made sure that farmers markets could remain open as grocery stores through the pandemic. We helped restaurants be able to sell goods and services through their restaurants. So you could pick up toilet paper vegetables, produce, fruits, whatever you needed when you went to the restaurant as well to help them have more income. And then the biggest thing we did at that time was also we launched our own relief fund. We called it the Arizona Small Business Relief Fund. And we raised $2.5 million that we were able to distribute to micro businesses. And what I mean by that is any business with less than 3 staff who needed money immediately. And we knew that that was really important because while federal funding was coming and we knew that the PPP program would eventually get rolled out, there were going to be a lot of businesses that couldn't wait. We had phone calls with, home services. No one was inviting people into their homes anymore.
Yeah.
Carpet cleaners, bathroom remodelers, even just regular cleaning companies were having all of their contracts eliminated because people were scared.
Yeah.
Restaurants were closed, barbers were closed, nail salons, massages, like all of these places, gyms, all of these places that we frequented, nobody was going there, and they went from regular income to zero overnight. So we were able to distribute grants of $2.5 million to over 800 families across Arizona that did not have access to any other funding at the time. And then from that, we built enough trust that the state asked us to distribute $10 million in rent and mortgage relief to small businesses as well.
Mm.
So we were able to get money out to every county in Arizona. A lot of the time when funding is released, our urban areas tend to swallow up most of it. But we were able to make sure that our rural communities got funding as well. Everything from caterers to gyms to bars that were having no income coming through, we were able to really help them out. And so along with all of this, we were able to talk to businesses and understand what they were going through and what was going to be needed down the road. And in April, we realized, while we were doing all this work and heads down and working really hard, we realized people were shopping online more than ever before. And what really should we be working on? What should we be considering for 6 months down the road, come Christmas or whenever the holidays, when festivals aren't happening, foot traffic is lower? What are all these retailers and these businesses that rely on income during that time going to do? So we worked over the course of 4 months and we built an e-commerce site called Shop Arizona. And it's a one-stop place where you can shop from small businesses online. And while a lot of small businesses might have e-commerce sites, we wanted one central place that they could all be at and people could come to. So we launched it the week before Black Friday. We're able to get 150 businesses onboarded right away. And it's everything from jewelry to gift cards to skateboards to clothing, records. I mean, you name it. It's a cool place that you can go to support small businesses and, stay safe in your home because not everybody's ready to go out yet. So I would say our response was multifaceted. It was very diverse in our approach. And we had to really think creatively about who we were helping and how we were going to proactively do it really quickly.
I have to say, I feel that it was maybe unfortunate or short-sighted on my part that I didn't have you on this program even several months ago, because what you're doing, the work you're doing is so critically important and it's very focused. And I love that because it's not just business in general. It's Arizona businesses, small businesses, and having, the Shop Arizona is amazing because you're right. Everybody's trying to do it on their own. And where do I go? And I'm an island unto myself. And that's the problem with small businesses often is they're alone, or whether they are or not, they feel alone. And I got to figure this out myself versus, collaborating with a collaborative like yours and saying, wow, there's other people out here doing the same thing and let's all join together and let's figure out how we do this and bring more traction and more traffic to our sites.
Yeah,
doing that. So thank you for doing that. And I say that as a consumer, as a small business owner, thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. And look, I've been following your work and the work of your organization for some time and saw some of the things that you were doing, but I had no idea of the scope of what you were doing from the quasi de facto sort of lobbying to get those funds released from the governor's office to these more, specific deliverables. It's really fantastic. It's good to know that you're out there and are being able to help our business owners this way.
So I have a question. That was then. What do you see you doing going forward over the next 6 months?
Yeah. Great question. And really, I think about that in the sense that we've had to position ourselves and also rely on those we know that have been really good at predicting. And while predictions aren't always 100% true, the small business community needs people looking out for them, because from a business perspective, all of our businesses right now are in their business. This is just a reality that I don't think a lot of people are realizing. When you can be strategic and have space to think, you're working on your business, right? We always hear this: you should be working on your business, not in your business. Structure yourself for that. Well, for a lot of businesses, that's just not an opportunity right now, because they're lower staffed, they're operating on really thin margins, and they're in their business right now. So while a lot of them are coming up with great solutions and they're persevering and they're resiliently making it through this, they need people looking ahead. They need advocates for them saying, what's the future look like? What need we be thinking about in 6 months, 12 months, 16 months, right? We've got to be looking down the road. And what we see is the need for businesses to really be planning for at least a year to a year and a half from now. When we first closed down in March 2020, a lot of businesses were very anxious, thinking this was only going to last a few weeks. And a few of my first phone calls were, you need to make a plan to get to November. This was March, when we didn't know what was going on. Because if you're not planning that far ahead and you're just fingers crossed hoping things get better faster, you're not going to make it through this thing. And so that's kind of where we're at now. It's you need a plan. You need a 16 to 18 month plan. Do you think that you can make it through the Arizona summer? How are you going to do that? Do you have multiple avenues of revenue set up? You can't rely that foot traffic is just going to come back by the fall. You can't rely on that. You have to have new products. You have to have the best customer service. Even though you're working so hard, you've got to have the best customer service you've ever had before. And you've got to have different ways that people can spend money with you. We think a lot of, there's a lot of people going into stores. There's a lot of people not ready for that. There's a lot of people that still need contactless payments, curbside pickup, delivery options. You've got to have a different approaches to making sure that people can purchase from you easily. And you've got to identify what markets are going to continue to open up from the pandemic. And a lot of people did this right away. Well, I don't want to say a lot of people, but a lot of businesses looked at what was going to be needed 3 months down the road. There's a lot of great printing companies that were reliant on events that last March said, you know what? All these restaurants closing are going to need banners and signage, plexiglass, face coverings, etc. And they got in front of the line and started manufacturing and distributing and producing all of those needs that were going to be needed in the industry, because funding was coming through to allow those restaurants and those businesses to use spending for PPE equipment. And where were they going to get it from? They need to get it from somebody, right? So thinking proactively, what's down the road, what's going to be needed? I think there's going to be continuous needs for safety, even after vaccines are widely distributed, right? Those are things that aren't going away. People, they're showing that people are going to increasingly buy online, even if we return in person. Alcohol, medicine, groceries, all of these things are going to continue to happen online. So what does that look like? How do you play a role in that as a business, and how could you take advantage of the money that's going to be spent that way? So it's thinking long term. It's re-strategizing. It's staying settled. It's not panicking. If more funding comes, awesome. But there's a lot of things out of your control. You got to stay focused on the things that you're in control of.
The message that you just shared right there in the last few minutes is so critically important for people to hear. That'll be the summary of this part of our conversation. But is there a venue that you're sharing that particular message? Because so many people think, oh, good, the vaccine's here. It's over. No, it's not over. There's more to come, and I don't know what it looks like. I don't know what flavor it's going to take and what what it's going to affect. But there's more challenges to come.
Yeah.
And forget variants and mutations and all that stuff. That's another science piece of it. But some people just haven't recovered yet, and a long time before they do. So do you have a venue that you're sharing this message in?
Yeah, and great point. I was just having a conversation with someone the other day when we were talking about events and festivals and things, and we felt really bad for that industry. And thankfully, Congress has finally pushed through the Save Our Stages Act, which will provide a lot of revenue support for those businesses who haven't seen very much. And to those 2 points, the UK variant just landed in Arizona, the South African and I think North Carolina last week. And there's just so much we don't know. There's so much to uncover. And I think we just need to continue to build up a strong, close network. I mean, there's no better time to hone in on your neighborhood and your local community and link arms with as many people around you. We're only as strong as the business community that we have within our own neighborhoods and communities, right? Even though we're distant, we're still working together. And if we lose sight of that, then like you said before, you're kind of siloed. You're kind of on your own, doing your own thing. There is a community out there. There's community of businesses. There's communities of people that can work together to provide resources, to provide advocacy efforts. And you need to stay connected to them. You need to stay connected to know what's going on, right? Yeah. What's going on next? What are the changes that you need to implement as a business? What do you, as policies change, as funding comes through, how do you apply for it? How do you navigate it? How do you access it? You can't be operating all of that in that space alone. You've got to be connected to others. So I think I'd say, there's just so much that we don't know. And in order to see this through and to get through all this, you gotta make sure you're checking in on others and likewise those others are staying close to you.
Yeah. You've said a number of times, and I need to highlight this. You've said a number of times leadership. And as you know, I just released my 4th book, The Leader of You. And the concept for that book is, who's leading you? I mean, because if you wait for the news channel to lead you, you could go out on some goose chases. But in your business, in your family, in your community, in your life, you need to become an informed, balanced leader of you, your family, your business, and everything in line there. And if you're not getting the balanced information that you're, through your organization are producing, then, I mean, imagine somebody only listens to one news channel or the other news channel. They don't get the blend. And your business approach here, what you're doing for our community, for our state, is critically essential, because it provides people with balanced information. Here's what somebody else in the restaurant business is doing. Here's what somebody else in the construction business is doing. Here's what we're doing. And unfortunately, people, they do feel isolated, not just socially, but from a business standpoint. And as you said earlier, they just put their head down and they just keep going and banging their head against that wall. And maybe they don't survive that. Versus, I've heard it said many times, collaboration is the new currency.
And I've seen that as well. I've seen many business owners who think that they are the only ones experiencing their particular pain. And that is true only to a slight degree, because we have so many different business owners in every channel dealing with the same challenges in different ways. And many of the solutions are common to more than one business. So one of the things that I'm telling people who are talking to me or calling me with certain problems related to this is, first, I'm terribly sorry this is happening to you. I get it. I understand it. I grew up behind the counter in a family business myself. So I understand the reality of rent being due and having to pay the people who work for you and having to have goods to put on the shelf and having to balance all of that. I get it. And I think that, having these discussions, and as Thomas said, being prepared to reach that light at the end of the tunnel and having a strategic plan to do so is very important because, as you said, Joseph, there's a sigh of relief with the vaccine. I got my mother vaccinated this weekend, thanks to the good folks out at State Farm Stadium and the volunteers there. Probably one of the best organized processes for something with that many people I've ever seen in my life. They did a phenomenal job. And so that's another community resource. But, to go through all of these things and survive until the point where we have that vaccine at a nationwide, community-wide spread, and where consumer confidence has also followed the distribution of the vaccine to the point where people actually feel safe to go back to a concert venue, to go back to an office, to go back to a store, back to a restaurant. I can't wait to do all of these things, but I'm not doing them now. And like many Arizona residents, I'm doing my best to support local restaurants, to support the people that I know, to support the restaurants that we love or the stores that we love. But yeah, there is still a road ahead. And that's what we're trying to do with this podcast is get people to that point. And I agree with you, Thomas, that it's a year to a year and a half away, and that needs to be our strategic thinking as business people for sure.
So Thomas, I know we want to honor everybody's time, yours, ours, and our listeners, and so I guess in coming to the beginning of our close, what should small businesses be doing going forward to persevere through these continuing challenges?
Yeah, I think it's a few things. One is, and I kind of mentioned it earlier, is name the things that are in your control, and there's certain things that are specifically in your control, and think through and spend time on that rather than the noise and the chaos of what's outside your business. This is a crisis situation for small businesses, right? And you need to be taking care of yourself and focusing on what's in your control. What's in your control? How you market yourself, how you treat your customers, how you position the products or the services that you're selling, the people that you're connecting with, the organizations that you're connected to, and how you're positioning your business within all of that chaos that's happening. That's where your focus needs to be. If it's on, waiting to see when and if more funding is coming, what's going to happen with the vaccines, what's going to happen, that's not what you can be doing, right? And there's time and space for that for sure. If that's something you want to take a leadership position in advocating for, that's fantastic. But as far as you and yours and your families that you're taking care of, try to focus on that. The second thing I do is make sure that you have chosen and are selecting your networks that you're staying close to, because those networks are going to be the ones to make sure they've got their eyes on the advocacy. They've got their eyes on changes that are coming. They've got their eyes on informing you of new safety protocol or funding that you need to apply for, or opportunities that are going to come through for small businesses. They need to have their eyes open for you. So stay close to them so they can let you know once those times are available. And then the last is prepare for this to be a little while, right? Don't be planning for weeks or months. Be planning for a year. Be planning for longer than a year. And plot it out. How are you going to make it work? Do you have to restructure? I just spoke to a company last week, and it seemed like they were closing. They closed their storefront, but really what they're doing is they're shrinking down. They're liquefying as many assets as they can, and they're just selling online until things maybe start to open up again, because it's without events happening, they're unable to sell a lot of the things that they usually would. And so they've just got to shrink up a little bit and get through this. It's almost like, they're going into a little bit of hibernation, but they're not gone forever. They're just figuring out a way to get through it. And so look at those opportunities. What ways can you maximize the space you have, or work with others to get through this as well? Because I do believe it's going to be a little bit of a road to get through.
Yeah. Well, back to that word leadership, you need to have a plan. You need to have a strategy as part of that plan, and you need to take action and do something that's going to make a positive impact on your business. You got to communicate it to your people. Your people want to know that you have a plan. If you have multiple employees or just even a few, they want to know somebody's in charge or somebody has a plan. It's not being in charge doesn't mean you're a leader. We know that. A lot of people in charge, but they might not be leading. So all of that being said, thank you for the leadership that you and your organization is providing to the businesses throughout our great state of Arizona. You're a beacon, you're a light out there. And I appreciate that as a leadership coach, consultant, mentor. I see it and I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be able to share today and be connected to both of you. And if there's anything we can do, please let us know. Please reach out to us.
Yeah. So how can our listeners reach out to you and make contact with you in any of the programs that you're doing?
Absolutely. Our website is localfirstaz.com. Really simple to navigate. If you're interested in getting involved in our membership program, just a simple button that says join. If you're looking for local businesses, you can just click find and you can search our whole directory. And we've also got a link on there to our Shop Arizona Marketplace, where you can shop at businesses and continue to support them. We're also active on all social media. We have great newsletters. So if you want to get signed up and follow us further, make sure to look for us on those platforms too.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Ike?
I think Thomas has shared a lot of great information. As I said, I was aware of Thomas, I was aware of the organization, but not the full scope of everything that they are doing and continuing to do. So I'm going to get signed up.
Amen. Awesome. Well, listen, again, thank you, Thomas, for joining us today on Business in the New Normal. What you shared was really informative and really an essential resource that businesses need to look for. So go to localfirstaz.com, right? localfirstaz.com and check them out. So with that, I will bring us to a close and want to offer our guest one more moment. If you have anything you'd like to say in parting, Thomas, now is the time.
I don't think so. If we can help you at all, just feel free to reach out to us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And Ike, as always, thank you, my friend. And for Ike Devji. And we just thank you so much for joining us. And we want to help you not just survive, but thrive in this challenging environment that we all find ourselves working through. And as Thomas said, it ain't just a few more weeks. There's a path here. And so get on that path and let us know if we can help you. And thank you so much. We'll talk again next week. Bye-bye.